Okay. Claudius... No, that doesn't look right. Hold on a second. Well... Good enough. Okay. Claudius Lysias, to His Excellency Governor Felix, greetings. This man, Paul, standing before you, was seized by the Jews, and they were about to kill him. Apparently there was a bunch of these Jews who were saying that this guy Paul had crossed some boundaries in the religion or something by bringing a Greek into their temple or something like that. I don't really remember. I mean, the Greeks are what they are, so it's understandable. But anyway, these Jews had gotten the whole city stampeding and all revved up into a mob and dragged this poor Paul guy out of the temple and were getting ready to just lynch him. When I, Lysias, came up with the detachment and rescued him because I had learned that he was a Roman citizen. Well, actually, that's not technically true. The patrol that was out noticed that this mob was on the move. I mean, kind of hard not to when the whole city's in an uproar. I don't get how they have such a cushy payroll when they take so long to report on anything. So Lysias came down with some soldiers and clapped some irons on Paul for starting this racket and demanded to know what was going on. But the crowd was yelling all sorts of junk, so he really couldn't tell what the problem was. So Claudius decided just to take him back to the barracks and try to sort through this mess in peace and quiet. But the crowd just got more and more violent, and eventually the soldiers had to carry Paul to keep him moving. Once they were almost into the barracks, this guy Paul stops Lysias and asks if he can speak. But he said this in Greek, which made Claudius realize that he wasn't the Egyptian assassin who had started this whole revolt thing a while back, like Claudius had thought he was. So he let him speak. Then Paul started defending himself to the crowd, who had followed the soldiers all the way there, and he actually managed to get this mob to listen to him. He talked about how he was a Jew and how strict he was in their religion, a bunch of stuff that I didn't really get a whole lot of it. My Aramaic was a bit rusty. Then he said something about how he was traveling to Damascus when this bright light, brighter than the sun apparently, like crazy bright, shone everywhere, and he saw this guy named Jesus who the Jews hate apparently or something and had killed. But this Jesus spoke to him, so I don't know how dead he really was. And then Paul went to some guy in Damascus and got his sight back because he'd been blinded by this bright light, Jesus dude, I guess. And he was baptized into this religion that worships that Jesus is God. And then I didn't catch much more after that, except that he said something about being sent to the Gentiles, and the whole crowd went into an even worse frenzy than they'd been before. So Claudius Lysias had to bring Paul inside the barracks and was going to have him whipped and interrogated to find out what was going on. But as soon as the questioner was about to bring the lash down, this Paul said he was a Roman citizen. So obviously Claudius came rushing down to the room and found out that Paul was actually of higher ranking than he was, and he'd almost been whipped. Oops. Then the next day, Lysias had him brought, but I should probably go back to reading the letter that I'm actually supposed to be reading to you. Since I, Claudius, wanted to know what charge the Jews were accusing him of, I brought him down to their council. I found he was accused with reference to their controversial questions about their law. That's the truth. Paul stirred up everybody in the court so much with his statement about the hoping and the resurrection of the dead that he had to be brought out by the soldiers again. But no charge against him deserved death or imprisonment. When I, Claudius, was informed there would be a plot against this man, actually, it was that Paul guy's own nephew who heard it and came and told him, I think. But anyway, I sent him to you at once, also ordering his accusers to state their charges against him before you. And that, Governor Felix, is why Paul stands trial before you now. Something with the Jews, I guess. I didn't really understand what the whole problem was. So he's yours to judge now, though. Thank you, enjoy, and farewell.